Tonight, President Bola Tinubu transmits a state police amendment bill to the Senate for legislative consideration. State governor unveils plans for workers' housing scheme aimed at improving living conditions of civil servants. Delta State House of Assembly adopts its legislative calendar for the fourth session of the 8th Assembly. And abroad, the United Kingdom records intense heat wave in what could become one of the hottest June days on record. A very good evening to you. Thank you for joining us on the Delta Television Main News. You can also follow our news online on Facebook and YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or you can visit our website www.dbsasaba.com. Joy Ochei is smiling. President Bola Tinubu has transmitted a constitution alteration bill seeking the establishment of state police to the Senate. The Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, said the Senate would consider the proposed amendments tomorrow. The bill seeks to amend relevant provisions of the 1999 Constitution to create a legal framework for state police across the Federation. The proposal followed repeated calls by President Tinubu for constitutional reforms to enable states play a greater role in securing their territories. The Senate is expected to reconvene for an emergency plenary session to advance the bill, which is regarded as a major step towards strengthening security and decentralizing policing powers in the country. The state's governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oboriwori, has disclosed plans by his administration to establish a phased and transparent workers' housing scheme aimed at improving the welfare and living conditions of civil servants across the states. Governor Sheriff Oboriwori made the disclosure in his remarks at a lecture on the theme of this year's Civil Service Week, Reforms, Resilience and Results, held at the Unity Hall of the Government House, Asaba. Pere Botu reports.
The governor, represented by his deputy, Sir Monday Oyeme, said the administration had already commenced engagements with the Ministry of Housing, the Delta State Mortgage Bank, credible private sector partners, and reputable real estate developers to design a phased and transparent workers' housing scheme. He explained that the initiative would prioritize serving officers and retirees through flexible, salary-friendly payment structures tailored to meet their needs. Governor Oboriwori further assured workers that his administration would continue to adequately fund existing staff welfare programs, including the Officers' Housing Loan Committees, as part of efforts to improve the quality of life of public servants. He added that workers' owner-occupier housing scheme would be implemented through strategic private partnerships with recognized real estate developers to ensure effective delivery and meet the expectations of workers across the state. The governor assured civil servants that he would not make promises that could not be fulfilled, stressing that every commitment made by his administration was guided by sincerity, responsibility, and the determination to advance the more agenda for the benefit of all Deltans. While congratulating civil servants on the celebration of the 2026 International Public and Civil Service Day, Governor Oboriwori urged workers to recommit themselves to the core values that define the public service, including integrity, honesty, impartiality, professionalism, and dedication to duty. It describes civil servants as a critical bridge between the more agenda and the people, noting that they play a central role in translating government policies and programs into tangible benefits for Deltans at the grassroots. The governor, while highlighting the significance of the theme of the public lecture, stated that most human phase of reforms is reflected in the unwavering commitment of his administration to the regular and prompt payment of salaries and pensions.
A citizen-centered civil service through digitalization. Citizens do not grade government by intentions, they grade by outcomes. Results demanded dedication to duty and a deliberate shift to digital, citizenship-centered service delivery. Under the MORE agenda, We are accelerating e-governance across the ministries, departments, and agencies. We are digitizing records to end file tracking delays. We are deploying online platforms where debtors can apply for approval, verify documents, and give feedback without knowing somebody.
In her remarks, the head of service, Dr. Mininim Oseji, said the public lectures formed an important part of activities marking the 2026 Civil Service Week celebration. She noted that several transformative reforms had been introduced into the service and were already yielding positive results under a resilient and responsive public service system.
We have implemented digitalization through a master training and training of trainers on digitalization, organization of virtual trainings, social media bliss, and use of Google Form for assessment of performance. We've implemented a staff transport support scheme using the 30-seater coaster bus and the 12-seater Peugeot Expert bus, which transports staff to or from work along the Okpanam, Abraka Junction and Ubolo axis. I wish to use this opportunity to call on other establishments that have buses to follow the example of the Office of the Head of Service and provide similar staff transport support scheme for their own staff.
I am Pere Botu reporting.
Meanwhile, it has been advanced that sustainable reforms in the public service must be anchored on strong institutions rather than individuals. A former permanent secretary in the Ministry of Health, Dr. Caroline Ajuya, posited this in the lecture held as part of activities marking the Civil Service Week. Esther Oputa reports.
On the theme of the observance, Dr. Ajuya, who was guest speaker, stressed that basing reforms on institutions was critical as institutions provided the stability and continuity required for lasting development. She, however, warned that without continuous reforms, institutions risk becoming stagnant and unable to respond effectively to the changing needs and expectations of society.
All we do as civil servants is to ensure that we produce results. That is what the public wants. No excuse. We must, and they must be measurable.
The former PS noted that digital transformation had reduced delays, minimized leakages, improved transparency, and strengthened citizens' confidence in public institutions, adding that the state's adoption of e-governance system, integrated payroll management, and digital records administration had greatly improved efficiency and accountability in service. A one-time permanent secretary and head of service in the state, Sir Paul Evarere, who chaired the occasion, appreciated the head of service for her reforms, which he said were yielding positive results, while encouraging civil servants to be focused and resilient.
Reforms, and the reforms are what we are seeing now. Resilience and then results. The results is or are what we see out of the reforms. And resilience is the ability to carry on even when there are so many daunting challenges.
A quiz was held as a sideline of the event with staff of the Directorate of Local Government emerging winners in the competition. In attendance were top government officials, past heads of service in the state, serving and retired permanent secretaries, and a cross-section of staff of government establishments in the state. Esther Oputa reporting.
The State House of Assembly has adopted its legislative calendar for the fourth session of the 8th Assembly. The development came during plenary marking commencement of the fourth session, with the Speaker, Right Honorable Emomotimigo, reaffirming the legislature's commitment to effective lawmaking and good governance. Favor Okafo reports.
The adoption followed a motion moved on the floor of the House during plenary by the Leader of the House, Honorable Emeka Nwobi, seconded by the Deputy Leader, Honorable Festus Seko, and subsequently approved by members. The Speaker, the Right Honorable Emomotimi Gwon, then welcomed members to the fourth session of the House, congratulating them on the successful journey of the Assembly so far, attributing its achievements and stability to the grace of God. The Speaker thanked Governor Sheriff Oborowori and his wife, Deaconess Tobori Oborowori, for attending the commencement of the fourth session, while also appreciating all the dignitaries and stakeholders who graced the occasion. He reaffirmed the commitment of the 8th Assembly to its constitutional responsibility of enacting laws that promote good governance and accelerate development across the state.
As we begin this fourth session, I urge all honorable members to remain steadfast, focused, and dedicated to the discharge of our constitutional duties. The expectation of our people remain high, and it is our collective responsibility to continue to enact laws and taking legislative action that will promote peace, prosperity, and good governance across Delta State.
On the matters of personal explanation, the member representing Warri South Constituency 1, Honorable Austin Oroye, informed the House of the demise of Dr. Joseph Utumara. In his response, the Speaker commiserated with the family of the deceased and the people of Warri South Constituency 1, describing the death as a painful loss. He prayed for the peaceful repose of the deceased and comfort for those affected by the loss. Favor Okafor reporting.
The state government has announced that the newly constructed Model Technical College in Ogarike, Ethiop West local government area, will be ready for inauguration within the next few weeks. The disclosure came during an inspection visit by top government officials to assess the level of corruption ahead of the commissioning. Ejime Udweme reports.
Mr. Aniago explained that the inspection was carried out to assess the project's readiness ahead of commissioning, pointing out that a few minor defects and unfinished aspects were identified and would be addressed before the governor's visit. He said the contractors and relevant ministries had been directed to rectify all issues within 2 weeks to ensure that the facility met the high standards of the administration. He urged the host community to take ownership of the institution and protect it from vandalism and other criminal activities. The commissioner further revealed that maintenance mechanism, including retention and guarantee periods, had been established to ensure contractors address any defects discovered after project handover.
Those levels of employment will take advantage of the local populace. But at the level of teachers, the technical hands, if you have the ones that are from here, when government is engaging and they are qualified, be rest assured, just like other debt hands, they will also have that opportunity. So because you need quality teachers, it will be dangerous for you to begin to insist that the teachers must come from your communities. When somebody is doing carpentry and you need somebody to teach somebody mechanic, will you go and get a carpenter to be teaching somebody how to repair a vehicle?
Also speaking, the Commissioner for Technical Education, Mr. Smart Ufo, commended Governor Sheriff Oborowori for prioritizing technical education through the establishment of modern technical colleges across the state.
Right now that equipment have been supplied, I thank God the supplier has equally fortified this place with the presence of the military, who is taking care, guiding the place.
In his remarks, Honorable Chris Onogba described the project as a major milestone for Ethiop West and a strategic investment in youth empowerment. He noted that the college would help reduce unemployment and crime by providing young people with practical skills and opportunities for self-development.
So we are going to have engagement with all the critical stakeholders, the youth, the men, the women, of course, the palace. So when I said we are taking ownership, I meant every part of that word. So to be able to arrive or to achieve that result, it means that we must have a constant engagement with.
The Modern Technical College, Ogariki, is one of several technical education projects being executed under the MORE agenda of the Oborevwori administration to expand access to quality technical and vocational education across the state. Ejime Uduime reporting.
As part of efforts to prevent breakdown of law and order in some riverine communities, the Delta State government has stepped up efforts to resolve lingering leadership disputes threatening peace in the affected areas. The intervention came at a meeting of the State Peace Building and Conflict Resolution team with stakeholders from Ijansa, Ijeli, and Ikeremo communities in Warri Southwest and Burutu local government areas held at the Unity Hall, Government House Annex, Ejeba in Warri. Henry Onogwa reports.
The special advisor to the governor on peace building and conflict resolution, Chief Edwin Ozo, said the meeting followed a series of petitions to the state government over leadership and succession disputes that had heightened tension in the affected communities. He noted that the peace building and conflict resolution team had listened to the grievances of all parties and adjourned the meeting for further consultations. He reminded the communities that elections into community development committees must be conducted in line with established guidelines and monitored by the Ministry of Women Affairs.
We met with the good people of Ijansa, Ijele, and the Ikeremo community, all in Warri Southwest and Burutu local government area, over issue of leadership, over who rules and who does not rule, which has heated up. A lot of petition has gone to the authorities. So today we have come to look at the matter. We've had them. We've adjourned the meeting for another day, and we've told them certain principles that before doing community election, they must write to Women Affairs, who will come to monitor the election.
The special advisor emphasized that the state's constitution regulating community elections provides for a 3-year tenure, stressing that lasting peace can only be achieved through strict adherence to constitutional provisions. He urged stakeholders to maintain peace, assuring them that all complaints would be thoroughly investigated and amicably resolved. Earlier, stakeholders from the communities narrated their grievances, commended the state government for its swift intervention, and pledged to sustain peace while awaiting the outcome of the peace process.
Following the line of maintaining peace, if this community is in trouble, our kingdom is also in trouble. And the traditional ruler does not want trouble. And that is the reason why he personally took it and also handed this issue to the local government chairman.
In attendance were the chairman of Warri Southwest Local Government Council, Chief Sylvester Oromoni, the oldest man in the area, Senior Apostle Victor Koko, state security operatives, and other government functionaries. Henry Onogwa reporting.
The need to bridge the gap in access to quality health care for persons living with sickle cell disease has been emphasized as activities marking 2025 World Sickle Cell Day commenced in Asaba with a sensitization roadwork. The roadwork themed Crossing the Survival Gap, Equity in Sickle Cell Disease commenced from the Professor Chike Dozier Secretariat and terminated at the Anioma Market, Asaba. Again, Henry Onogwa reports.
Addressing participants before the commencement of the exercise, the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Health, Dr. Gloria Patrick Ferife, represented by Dr. Christian Teshola, described sickle cell disease as more than a medical condition, noting that it has affected millions of families across the nation. He stated that the state government remained committed to improving healthcare services and ensuring that persons living with sickle cell disease have access to quality medical care without discrimination, stressing that this year's theme highlights the need for equitable access to diagnosis, treatment, and the comprehensive care.
We bear one of the highest burdens globally. Approximately 150,000 children are born with sickle cell disease every year, and millions more carry that trait.
He urged the public to intensify routine genotype testing, premarital counseling, and newborn screening programs, while participants carried placards and distributed flyers promoting genotype testing, healthcare nutrition, family planning, child spacing, early intervention, and an end to stigmatization. Other speakers, including the state focal person for sickle cell, Dr. Onyinye Omomo, urged intending couples to undergo proper genotype testing before marriage to avoid future regrets.
Knowing your genotype, getting tested even before you get married is the key. So know your genotype, know your power.
Every youth, do not say you are being carried away, be it from adolescent, in as far as you've attained that childbearing age. Do not be carried away with the name love.
A sickle cell survivor also shared her testimony, stressing that love alone is not enough for a successful marriage.
I dey live with her. God don't help me say, Papa, I'm away, but then get brave. Then she say, na wahala wey dem dey, and they agree say na dem cause am. So I beg, e not easy to take care of her, but then they take care of her. But wetin we dey preach well today be say, no let her happen if e never enter your basket.
The participants, including health officials, medical practitioners, members of sickle cell support groups, students, as well as the general manager of Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, Mrs. Christine Jobome Emetulu, represented by Mrs. Stacy Abuga, created awareness on the challenges faced by persons living with the disorder and the need for increased support. Henry Onogwa reporting.
Students of the Cathedral Nursery and Primary School Bishop's Court, Asaba, were in the DPS Asaba today as part of efforts to embrace practical learning as a pathway to discovering and developing their future careers. Again, Henry Onogwa reports.
The pupils toured major operational units of the station, including the edit suite, television studio, radio studio, master control room, and the transmitter session, where they observed the use of cameras, monitors, lighting systems, and other broadcasting equipment. Speaking during the visit, a teacher, Mr. Kenneth Annie, said the excursion was carefully organized to equip the pupils with basic broadcasting knowledge and stimulate their interest in media-related careers. He noted that such exposure would broaden their career opportunities and help in raising well-grounded children prepared for greatness in life.
This would help a whole lot because they have been seeing how people, how they disseminate news in the radio station, in the television station, and they've really seen a whole lot about it. So they really learned a lot about how they do these things, and they've been able to know that, oh, this media thing is really interesting and lovely. So most of them would really want to go into the media sector.
The pupils who expressed excitement over the experience said they had gained a better understanding of the workings of the broadcast outfit, with some expressing the desire to pursue careers in the media industry.
I learned how to broadcast news, journalism, and how about media.
I've learned that in DDS that they learn how to transmit news from one place to another, and they learn broadcasting.
I learned all about media. I also learned how to broadcast too.
Henry Onogwa reporting.
The government, through the Directorate of Transport, has approved the Joint National Transport Safety Committee of Nigeria, JNTSCN, in collaboration with Federal Ministry of Labor and Employment, the Department of Operations in the Nigeria Police Force, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, to utilize all Vehicle Inspection Office VIO centers across Delta State for the conduct of health, safety, and compliance training programs for truck drivers operating within the state. Data collection and registration of truck drivers will be carried out at all VIO centers across Delta State, with duly accredited representatives of the Joint National Transport Safety Committee of Nigeria in attendance. The statement added that Delta State Directorate of Transport Staff and Safety Committee will serve as a core signatory to all certificates issued to truck drivers who will successfully complete the training program, while the Joint National Transport Safety Committee of Nigeria would ensure that all participating drivers were enrolled with Delta State Contributory Health Commission to facilitate access to health insurance coverage and improved welfare services. A government statement signed by the functioning permanent secretary in the Ministry of Information, Mrs. Stella Macaulay, said that full enforcement of the regulations and requirements will commence on Monday next week, advising truck drivers, transport operators, fleet owners, transport unions, and other relevant stakeholders to take advantage of the registration and training exercise. The statement reiterated government commitments to promoting road safety, professionalism, compliance with transport regulations, and the welfare of road transport workers across the state. And still to come on the Delta Television main news, the United Kingdom records intense heat wave in what could become one of the hottest June days on record. Details of this and more shortly. Stay with us. Thank you for staying on. If you're just joining us, you're watching the Delta Television main news. And we're going to the foreign scene straight. The United Kingdom is experiencing an intense heat wave with temperatures expected to exceed 35 degrees Celsius, potentially making it the hottest June day on record. Weather officials said temperatures continue to rise across the country, with Pembrokeshire recording the highest temperature of 27.7 degrees Celsius by mid-morning. The extreme weather follows overnight thunderstorms across southeast England that triggered flooding, travel disruptions, and at least 2 house fires. Authorities reported about 29,000 lightning strikes across southern England during the storm. The heat wave is expected to persist throughout the week, with the Met Office issuing a rare red weather warning for parts of England and Wales. Meanwhile, French authorities say at least 40 people have drowned since the heat wave began last Thursday. Iran has rejected claims by the United States that it has agreed to allow international nuclear inspectors back into the country, following the first round of peace talks aimed at ending tensions between Washington and Tehran. Speaking after negotiations in Switzerland, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance said discussions on restoring inspections by the International Atomic Energy Agency could begin immediately. However, Iran's foreign ministry insisted that Tehran has made no new commitments regarding nuclear inspections and maintains that inspectors will now be granted access to facilities previously targeted by U.S. and Israeli strikes. Despite the disagreement, both sides described the talks as constructive. The United States has also announced a 60-day sanctions waiver that temporarily allows the production, sale and export of Iranian crude oil and petrochemicals as part of efforts to support ongoing negotiations. The federal government has said it will begin discussions with cement manufacturers from July 1 over the rising cost of cement, which it said was threatening the execution of infrastructure projects across the country. Minister of Works, Senator David Umahi, made this known in Lagos during the unveiling of Lafarge Nigeria's new corporate identity, now rebranded as HPM under the Huasin Group. Senator Umahi urged cement manufacturers to reduce prices, noting that contractors handling government projects had been demanding contract reviews due to increasing construction costs. He said the federal government would not approve contract variations arising from high cement prices, insisting that manufacturers should instead review their production cost. The minister noted that the administration of President Bola Tinubu had created significant opportunities for cement producers through its massive investment in infrastructure and called on manufacturers to increase production capacity to meet growing demand nationwide. The chairman of the Delta State Football Association, Chief Godwin Adude, has revealed that coaches in the state would soon upgrade in a bid to enhance football development in the state. Chief Adode, who spoke recently, said that the state coaches yet to be certified by the Confederation of African Football (CAF) and the Nigerian Football Federation (NFF) would have the opportunity to join their counterparts across Africa at the end of the month. The DFA chairman said the states was tapping into the recent permission granted the NFF by CAF to certify coaches in the nation to enable them to take charge of club sides and national teams from within and outside the state. He said the coaches will be taken through a 4-day refresher course, starting with the arrival of former Super Eagles captain Austin Eguavoin, who is the head of technical department at the NFF, as well as other CAF certified instructors' arrival on June 28. Chief Adode, however, lauded the State Sports Commission and Mr. Mafiana for the immense support and assured that football in the state would continue to get the needed attention in a bid to harness talents that abound in the state while also giving them a platform to be seen. Here is a thought for the day. Courage is not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. And just before we go, here are the highlights of the news. President Bola Tinubu has transmitted a constitutional alteration bill seeking establishment of state police to the Senate. The Senate President, Senator Godswill Akpabio, said the Senate would consider the proposed amendment tomorrow. The State Governor, Right Honorable Sheriff Oboriwori, has disclosed plans by his administration to establish a phased and transparent workers' housing scheme aimed at improving the welfare and living conditions of civil servants across the state. The State House of Assembly has adopted its legislative calendar for the 4th session of the 8th Assembly. And from abroad, we did report that the United Kingdom is experiencing an intense heat wave with temperatures expected to exceed 35 degrees Celsius, potentially making it the hottest June day on record. You can also follow our news online on Facebook at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba and also on YouTube at Delta Broadcasting Service Asaba, or you can visit our website at www.dbsasaba.com. On behalf of the entire news crew, Joy Ucheyi is my name. Good night.